This is question 2 on the sample final. We're asked to solve the below inequality and write the answer in either set builder or interval notation. Our inequality is the quantity x plus 3 over x minus 4 greater than 0. When you're working with nonlinear inequalities, the way to go about solving them is have one side of the inequality set to 0 and then using a sign chart on what's on the other side. So we've already got our inequality relative to 0. So we're going to set up our sign chart by setting the numerator equal to 0 and the denominator equal to 0. And when we do that, we get x equals -3 and x equals 4 as our key points there. And that's going to divide the number line up into regions. We got the region below -3, our first region there. We got the region from -3 to 4, our second region, and our last and third region is from 4 off to positive infinity. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a point out of each of those regions and see whether our expression there turns out to be positive or negative. And we can do that by looking at each of the pieces. So in the first region, I'm going ahead and choosing x equals -4. Again, I'm choosing points that I believe are going to be easy to work with. So when I plug it into the numerator, that turns out to be -1. When I plug it into the denominator, that turns out to be -8. More important than the numbers is the sign. Top is negative, the bottom is negative, so when you put it in there, you're going to end up with a negative divided by a negative, and that makes the entire expression positive. We're going to continue on and do the same thing with the other two regions. In region 2, 0 is available, so when I plug that in the top section it's positive, in the bottom it's negative, and a positive divided by a negative is negative. And in our last region, pick x equals 5, end up with a positive number divided by a positive number, which is also a positive number. And since we're interested when this quantity is greater than 0, I'm going to take the two regions that gave me positive results. That's the first and third region. So writing it up in interval notation, got the interval from -infinity to -3, union that with 4 to infinity. Or in terms of set builder, we can just go ahead and use the inequality symbols surrounded by the squiggly brackets and then our x in vertical line, which reads the set of x such that x is less than 3 or x is greater than 4. We could also take a look at this visually if we have a graphing calculator, and we do, and get rid of the other things there. So here we go ahead and we can see our function. We see that it's positive up to a point, then negative, and then positive again. And if we brought in the x plus 3, which is our numerator, we can find where that is equal to 0. We brought in x minus 4, we can see where that's going to be 0. And then I've got, since that's in the denominator, I can also go ahead and put in the asymptote there. But if I were to go ahead and hide these, and then start zooming in on this, I can visually see that my function there is positive until we get to the point -3. Then it becomes negative until we get up to -4, and then when we cross -4 it becomes positive again and continues that way all the way off to infinity. I hope this helps.